Good evening, and welcome once again to our annual Meet the Candidates Night. Let's begin this evening by honoring our country with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Each candidate has received a personal invitation to participate in tonight's event. In their invitation, I encouraged each candidate to make a presentation even if he or she was running unopposed, which in this election, we have an abundance of unopposed positions. In making a presentation by each candidate, the voters would be able to put a face to the name of the candidate that is seeking to be elected, and their presence would show the voters that they have the best interests of this town on their agenda. In my invitation, I requested that the candidate inform the voters what qualities they could bring to the town and what issues they felt needed to be focused on in order to make a stronger community. And as always, I stated, mudslinging would not be tolerated. I do not, however, have a crystal ball or a censor button, so I cannot anticipate what may be coming from the candidate or a voter. However, I will stop the guilty party if they continue. As in the past, there will be a time for questions and answers, and if the candidate chooses to do so. So without hesitation, we'll move on. First, I'd like to introduce John Brooks, who is running unopposed for the Board of Assessors. John, you out here?
I had a nice long speech to bring to you tonight, and the puppy ate it. So I'm gonna have to wing it. For those of you that don't know me, I'm John Brooks. I live on Baldenville Road. I have been an assessor a number of years. I'm not going to tell you anything new that you don't know about me, especially if you've lived in town for the last 25 years or so. But the assessor's office is running very nicely, thanks in part to Luann and Sue. They do all the work. They do all the thinking. We're pretty much an advisory board. However, that's not the way the law is written. We do have the authority. So there I am. I'd like your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Also running for the Light and Water Commission is Dana Blaze, who also is running unopposed but could not be here tonight. He has a commitment with the Scouts, so he asked me if I would present a letter that he has written. Good evening. I am sorry that I am not able to attend Candidates Night because of a previous commitment. I'd like to thank both Tom and Luann for hosting this event, as they have done for so many years. First, I'd like to thank the voters of the town of Templeton who have supported me for the last 27 years as a commissioner at the town of Templeton Light and Water Plant. I have worked hard to maintain the same high standard of service to our residents that the former commissioners set forth over 100 years ago. I am humbled by the support I have received over the years, and I promise to continue and maintain the same quality of service that our department provides today. Thank you again for your support. Dana F. Blaze, Chairman, Light and Water Plant. God bless Templeton. Okay, that was from Dana. So we'll move on to Town Moderator. We have this year running for Town Moderator, new candidate, Elizabeth Cricket Toth.
How's everybody doing this evening? Great, awesome. First of all, I want to say thank you, Tom and Luann, wherever there you are back there, for hosting us tonight. This is really great. I think it's a great opportunity. I want to start with some of the long-term residents may know me as Cricket Case. My grandparents were even Arapoya, so if you ever went strawberry picking or blueberry picking in town, those were my grandparents. My grandmother was on the Conservation Commission for quite a few years, and my dad, Hal Goodwin, was also on the school committee and chairman of the school committee for quite a few years. And my husband was on the rescue squad right after we got married. He spent about 5 years on it, volunteering. He's now back with the fire department on the ambulance itself. And somebody once asked me, why did I want to do this? And I said, well, first of all, folks, you know, I've had other family members who have been very involved in politics and very involved in the town and wanted to give back. And I think this is a way that I can give back in running for town moderator. I've had over 30 years in IT, which is all about policies, procedures, and following the rules and understanding them. You know, I've had a lot of different, I've worked in different industries, following from manufacturing, military consulting, biotech, high tech. I've had to go through the FDA audits and Sarbanes audits and everything else. So and all these things are about rules. And as a town moderator, it's about running the town meeting. Everything else that happens beforehand, the selectmen put together the articles and they put together the warrant, and you may have some folks that have actually, you know, submitted other articles for the warrant. And then you have the advisory board who sits there and goes through and looks at everything and kind of gives you an opinion one way or the other as far as what, you know, what they feel about the article. So looking at all of those things and my IT experience, the town meeting is run by, follows the rules of town meeting time and the town bylaws. And there are places and time within town government, generally speaking, where those things aren't always followed and followed correctly. And so I think I can make a difference there. I think I can be fair and, you know, straightforward and follow the rules, and that's what it is, because we have to have confidence in what we're doing. We have to have confidence in the in the decisions that we're making. And what better place to do it than on the town floor, because every registered voter has the right to be able to stand up, speak their mind, ask the questions that they need to ask to be able to run town government. And that's kind of everything I have. So anybody have any questions? No? Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Oh, question.
Yes. No, I grew up with it. I had it from about 4 months old. And it depends upon whose story you want to believe, you know, where it came from. My father used to say I used to wake up in the middle of the night and make sounds that sounded like a cricket. And it kind of stuck. And so anybody who saw me on the farm just knew me as Cricket, and that was it. So, you know, professionally, I tend to go by Liz, but Cricket works. I'll answer to it. Thanks.
Thanks, Cricket. Thanks, Liz. Okay, moving on. Town moderator, our incumbent, Derek Hall.
Thank you. My name is Derek Hall, and I'm running for the moderator position. I was sworn in last year as a moderator when I ran unopposed at the town elections. Prior to that, I was appointed temporary moderator for several meetings while the position was open. What I've told everybody is that I was forced into the position. That's actually not true. What really happened was I was asked several times to be moderator because the previous moderator had some health issues. Position was open. As you may know, we're not paid for the position, so I'm certainly not doing it for the money or anything like that. Just to let you know, I do have a master's degree in criminal justice. I graduated there 2012 from Anna Maria. I'm not a political person, and I am there, to make sure that the meeting is done in an orderly and in a fair fashion. I may not know the answer to every question or procedure, and I may refer you to someone who knows more about that specific topic. I am there to keep the peace, in my opinion, is not I'm not going to use my opinion, there it is, unless I need to make decisions, unless I'm asked. So I'm not looking at my phone. I'm trying to read through this thing, and it keeps on bouncing back up for me. But I am not playing a game. I apologize for that. I apologize for that. Let's try that again. I'm there to keep the peace. I'm not there to use my opinion unless I'm asked or needed to make decisions. I believe that there are good people in this town, and they should be heard and ask questions or give accurate information to make good decisions in making this town better. As many of you may know, I've been a police officer here for over 20 years in town. If I were an issue were to arise regarding the police department specifically, I would abstain from voting on that issue and step down as the moderator position and vote as a citizen in the town of Templeton. I do not want any conflicts of interest or any questions of that nature, and I have stepped down in the past for such items such as the addition onto the police department. On a personal note, bought a house here in East Templeton back in 2000. I lived there with my wife Melanie, my daughter Lily, and my son Dominic. I also do the same. I just wanted it kind of short and sweet. I was hoping for some questions if anybody had any. If not, I will walk off. Okay, thank you.
Good luck there. Thank you. Okay, a new face in the candidates. Board of Selectmen are two positions available for a 3-year term. Our first candidate is Cam Forts.
Hello, everyone. My name's Cameron Forts. Many of you probably don't know who I am, so I'll give you a little brief background. I lived here for 23 years. I went through Templeton Center, East Templeton Elementary right down the street, Narragansett Regional. I attended Worcester State, and I graduated with 2 bachelors, one in economics, one in finance. And currently right now I'm attending for a Master's of Science in Finance at Southern New Hampshire University. Thank you. Really, I didn't prepare a speech because this is coming straight from me, and this is coming from a lot of the people that actually aren't in attendance. When I was campaigning around town and talking to a lot of people of my age, they had told me, you know, I don't have time to attend town meetings. I don't have time to get involved. Templeton's, you know, so far gone, I can't participate. I don't want to participate. And I think that's so unfortunate that as a town and a community, we're so divided today that we can't come together and we can't dedicate time to our community. Something that we really should take part in, something that we really should dedicate that time to. We have issues in this town that date back 10 years ago, and we're still fixed on those. We're still talking about those issues. We're still talking about the loss of the Mall of Templeton. We're still talking about elementary schools and sewage bids and so much dirty laundry. It's time to move past that. And I think as a candidate, I really want to bridge this gap. I want to bring this community together. I want to bring people out there. And there's 3 things that I really want to do to bring that out, and I have a process that I think will benefit Templeton. First thing I want to do is I want to promote that healthy atmosphere of the people who aren't here tonight because of prior engagements should be able to look on the websites, find the information they want. I want to make that information transparent. I want to make it so that if there is a question about, say, a sewage contract that happened 5 years ago and we can't seem to find that it's on the website, posted, and it's cleared up. There's no more rumors. There's no more gossip. We have the evidence. We have the proof. It's all public record. We need to stop that. We need to stop the bickering and push forward as a community and a town. And I think another key issue that could help this town out immensely is that I currently serve as an auditor for a Fortune 500 company. I have a vast experience with budgeting, planning, auditing of financials, regulatory experience, compliance, and I attended the town audit, and I don't think a lot of people fully grasp how upset that auditor was with us, because when he had come down and said he had found 13 material deficiencies, and just a brief explanation of what a material deficiency is that an immaterial deficiency is something that will not impact your financial statement. So if you budgeted as a person, you budget $100 and you spent $101 on your budget, it's considered immaterial. Material would be that if you overspent it by $500, it will severely impact your cash flows and your financials. And I don't think anybody truly grasped the impact that that has had on our finances for the last 5 years. And I want to step in and I want to bring my auditory experience, my regulatory experience to the town of Templeton. Help set up guidelines and regulations so that people in this town know how to do their job, are doing it through a checklist properly, and so that we don't have any more of this blame game, because we will know who didn't and did follow procedure. And I think that will clear up a lot of the air and a lot of the animosity that takes place in this town. And third, I want to talk about the elementary school. I know this has been a hot button for a lot of people, and as a young guy myself who plans to have children someday, and hopefully in this community, it's a tough subject to talk about because everybody reads the newspapers, and everybody in my generation says, you know, oh, I want to buy a house out in Gardner. I want to buy a house out, you know, in Westminster. Well, why don't you buy a house in Templeton? Well, you know how politics are. You know that issue where they're not building an elementary school? You know, they can't seem to get it together, so I don't want to live there. And who does that really impact? It impacts all of us, because if people don't want to move here, we're not getting that tax revenue. And the only way to bridge budgets is to raise taxes, and we don't want that. We want to make sure that our taxes stay low. We have the 9th lowest tax rate in the state, which is incredible. And a lot of us, that's awesome. We want to do that. But if we can't maintain the occupancy ratings that we have, if we can't bring in new revenue into this town, you can kiss that goodbye. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to pay higher taxes. So I think that this community can serve much better things. And I said it earlier today. I was talking about Winchington and their audits. And they got nailed really bad. And they are turning it around. And as somebody who graduated as a warrior out of Narragansett, I will be damned if Winchington does anything better than us. Absolutely. And I'll open it up for questions if anybody has anything.
Hi, I'm Mike Curry, Everson Road. You talked a lot about the problems that we're having in Templeton. I'd like to ask you, what do you think the biggest strength of our community is?
You know, this is actually something that I found out. I didn't know we had it, is we have a sense of community. I stopped by a lot of the local leaders of business around here. I talked to the Dows, I talked to the Wilsons. I talked to Mr. Pauly Constantino across the street. He's a very vocal gentleman. And a lot of names get thrown out between those businesses, and a lot of names get thrown out by the people who don't attend these meetings. I talked to, and I don't want to mention any names, so I shouldn't say that, but people that I had graduated with, their parents never came to any meetings, didn't have anything they didn't have any knowledge about this town. But they'll give you a few names of people they don't like. And you go, why don't you like them? And they say, well, you know, I just know that he's a jerk, or I know she's a jerk. To me, that makes no sense. However, these people say they're good people. I just don't like them in that administrative role. But they have no evidence. So there's that link that this community has where everybody knows each other. We're all friends. The community is there. But we just need to get over this gossip, this rumor, this really dark time, this blemish on our community. And if we can pass that, I swear, that community, that sense of friendly neighborhoodness will come out in no time, and it will shine bright. Anybody else? Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate. Oh.
I'll go again.
Oh.
No one else. Templeton has about 8,000 residents in it. How are you able to communicate with a large constituency like that? How would you personally like to do that?
I would prefer the proper channels, first and foremost. I don't think personal blog on my part would do anybody any favors. I think if you can push transparent information through the proper channels, such as templeton1.org, I think is what it is, and you can post that information. If you could post this video that's being filmed of me, this is my television debut. If you can post this online as a video that somebody can watch who's not in attendance now because they had to bring their kid to soccer practice, or you know they worked late tonight to pay the bills, to pay the property taxes that might be going up if we don't do something, and if we can get all that on there, these documents, this information that should be public data, and just debunk this, I think that will serve tremendous amounts, and I wouldn't have to voice my opinion to these 8,000 people. They can go on there and check it themselves in their free time. And hopefully, those people that are very vocal in the community, that are well-informed based on templeton1.org, will be able to debunk a lot of the gossip and rumors that take this place over.
Do you have a plan to maybe get some more businesses in back into town? We have a lot of empty buildings now, and it seems like it's pulling teeth to try to get anything started in town anymore.
So, first and foremost, I have to say this out loud, that the commercial businesses and the industrial businesses in Templeton drive our tax bases. They are bearing the brunt of a lot of the tax income in here. And I think to bring back businesses in Templeton is a venture that's much needed to keep property taxes low, but to also fund the amenities that we love, the police station, fire station, and new school. And I think the number one option to go about, and working in a Fortune 500 company, I have the experience and the accessibility to talk to guys who've been around the block. They have their doctorates, they have their masters, they have tons of credentials. And I sat down with one of them and I asked him, you know, what is the first thing a business looks at when they want to move into a town? And they say, the politics. And people, you got to be really naive to think people don't read the newspaper, because, I mean, here's 2 newspapers right here. Oh, you're not in the newspaper, are you? No. I'm sorry. We have somebody from the newspaper right here, right now, writing down all of this. And I was so amazed at how many people had come up to me and said, oh, are you Cameron Forts, you running for Selectmen? And I read about you in the paper. They read it. Businesses read that. That's one of the first and foremost things they read, newspaper. They get a feel for it. They say, the politics in there, we're going to stay clear. We clear that up, we can move forward. The other thing is we need to start sitting down with the Greater Chamber of Commerce and figure out exactly, you know, the economic trends that are in the area. Who's looking to come here? Because as a young guy, I get that experience. When I graduated college, I looked for a job in finance and accounting, and there's none. There's absolutely none out this way. I work out in Waltham. It's an hour and 30-minute commute for me. I could move out to Waltham area and pay $500,000 for a home, or I could stay in Templeton, the community I know and love, and bring some of these jobs here. So as a college student, we all have the brain drain. We leave. But if you can sit down these businesses and say, hey, look, we got a great educated community. We have one of the best school systems in this region. We have a low tax base. You could drive these businesses back in here. But it's only going to happen is if we can get past the blockades and stonewalling that happen to our politics today and get past those rumors that so stop everything we've done in this community and undo them. And I hope that answered your question. Yes, sir.
I've lived here for 20 years. When I moved here, the tax rate was sinfully low. My taxes in those 20 years have doubled.
Mm-hmm.
And I can honestly say that nothing has been accomplished in those 20 years. We don't have a new school.
We don't?
We don't have a new town hall.
Nope.
We don't have a new town barn. We only have a senior center because there were 3 modular units in Fort Devens available to get something off the ground.
You're absolutely correct.
Unless we march to one drum and decide that we're gonna do this and stick to it, then nothing will be done.
You're absolutely correct.
One year we had a new school, a senior center, and a town hall, all in the same ballot, at the same town meeting. Naturally, they're all gonna fail, because there were entities that wanted a new school, there were entities that wanted a new town hall, there were entities that wanted a new civic, senior center,
Mhm.
and as a result, we ended up with nothing. So my taxes have doubled, and there's nothing to show for it.
Mm-hmm.
I get my roads plowed for $3,200 a year. That's an expensive plowman.
I had some of my great friends are the plowmen at Templeton. But I understand your frustration, and I understand fully. Your taxes have doubled, but there's nothing to show for it. And I think that comes down to the accounting policies that are in here. And God bless Kelly, because the auditor had nothing but good words to say about her. She's done a wonderful job since she had taken over, and then she really cleaned up the books. However, we have 2 interesting problems to face with higher property taxes and nothing to show for it. And I think reorganizing and setting these guidelines and policies and procedure in place that I have experience with at my Fortune 500 company and bringing them here and that experience, we can better and more accurately represent where your tax dollars are going. And when we can show you down to the wire where this money's going, we'll have a better answer for you. Now, with a better financial decision, where this money's going, we can trim the fat. We can not trim the meat, but just trim that fat. And once we do that, we can free up some funds. We can bring more business in here. We can have that ability to keep tax rates as they are and spend more on these amenities that should have been done 20 years ago. But here we are today where we don't know where your tax dollars went, and I don't know where they went. Somebody here probably has the answer. I mean, somebody on the Board of Selectmen might. But I honestly couldn't tell you, and that's a problem because I've searched. I've looked deep into the Templeton1.org, and I've tried to go down to the Board of Selectmen's office and find some of this stuff, and it's just not there. And we need answers. And the only way you can do that is to have a transparency. Yes, sir.
Just to build a little bit on what Paul said, I say this at every one of these meetings. I haven't got stoned yet, so.
God, I hope not.
Talking about tax reform. The tax, and you alluded to it earlier in your talk, we're at one of the lowest tax.
Yes, 9th lowest.
The tax rate in Templeton has been artificially so low for so long, and along comes Proposition 2.5. I don't see any way to dig ourselves out of this hole without a tax rate, without an override or some kind of raise in taxes. I don't want to pay more taxes. Nobody here wants to pay more taxes, but I see no other way out of it.
So I'll give you
I don't think there's any fat to be cut in this town.
there's a little bit. I've looked around on some of these budgets. I think one of the interesting things is I had sat down with the Templeton Light and Water Department, and they are run separately. They have their own bond rating because Templeton couldn't get together, and they're flourishing as they are, right? We have a considerably lower electricity rate than the surrounding neighborhoods. We have a really low rate. However, when I had spoken with John Driscoll, he had told me that Templeton's operating at, I think, 450,000 gallon capacity of the water, and we can operate at a million gallon capacity. That means to me that there is 50% more that we can go to increase and bring people in here. And he had also mentioned to me that we have somewhere around 100 homes that are unoccupied. So the first and foremost thing is we need to fill those homes. And then once we fill those homes, we bring in more businesses. I wouldn't say more houses. I think we can settle with just some commercial industries that will generate more revenue. And maybe if we can find some industries that would draw water from the town and drive those water prices down, because once you're operating at a higher capacity, your water bill will drop. And I think that the property taxes will not have to go up because we will have a higher revenue base coming in. But as of right now, you are absolutely correct. If we don't get it together, our property taxes will go up. People will not want to move here. And as right now, with the 9th lowest tax, I mean, that's pretty lucrative for any industry that wants to move in here. You know, you look at your tax rate and you say, oh, I can go get away with the 9th lowest tax rate. I might want to move there. Let me read the newspaper about them and see you later. So I think, to your effect, you're absolutely right. We might have to raise taxes if we do not get together and march to one drum here. So I hope that answers your question. I mean, I think it was more of a statement when you said, you know, I don't see any other way, but I hope that helps you out. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I just want to touch on one more.
Yeah, no problem.
So we all basically agree, I mean, on the most part, that we need those new buildings. Which one would be your priority? Would you think first the school?
First and foremost, so I had spoken to a gentleman, he moved in here when all the housing developments came in. And he said to me the first thing he was shown besides his house was the new school they had just built. It was Narragansett Regional High School, and it was fantastic. But they didn't drive him a little bit further to Templeton Center and show him that piece. Now, when somebody moves when they become a new homeowner, first-time home buyers, usually they're looking to settle down with their wife and have a few kids. And the first thing you're going to look for is the elementary schools. Where are my children going to go? And I think that is one of the first and foremost things that we need is an elementary school. And I think currently right now the plan that we're looking at is I think $23 million to build it, which sounds very large. However, when you bring this property in, you're going to drive more homes, more people coming into this community. which then in turn will give us the revenue to pay for such a building. So, and I don't think a lot of people have really done the cost-benefit analysis, something that I do for work. When you look down and you say, we're going to build this, and here are the benefits. Here's where we will come through, and here's where the revenue is going to come back to us. So first and foremost, I would say the elementary school. And then the other things, as we progress as a town, they will fall in place with a revenue base. All set. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cam. Second on the agenda for Board of Selectmen is Julie Farrell, who cannot attend this evening, so she did submit a letter. Let me see. I would like to thank the Royers for hosting Candidates Night. I always enjoy attending Candidates Night at Camelot. Unfortunately, I am unable to attend tonight's event due to a work commitment. I have been selected as one of the chaperones for 67 Bay Path students participating in Massachusetts Skills USA competition. I have high hopes of surviving this experience. I am running as a candidate for Selectman because I feel I possess certain skills that make me qualified for the position of Selectman. I am very detail-oriented. I do in-depth research and reading on topics brought before the Selectmen. I read contracts before I sign contracts, and I possess the ability to do the basic math, and I ask a lot of questions. I believe local government can be fiscally responsible as well as open, honest, and transparent. I believe open government should include public input from residents when departments are merged. Public hearings are one venue to gather public input. Oftentimes, public hearings are sparsely attended. Using alternate means of communication like social media or code red to advertise public hearings may help increase the attendance and generate more public participation. I believe local government should be honest and transparent. Public meetings should be posted appropriately, and minutes from those meetings should be readily available to the public. Public record requests should not be deliberately delayed. I believe the Board of Selectmen should follow its own policies, procedures, and bylaws of the town of Templeton, including opening and closing of the warrant for annual and special town meetings. Most importantly, the town of Templeton needs good fiscal management and accountability. Through the years, I have advocated conservative approach to using free cash and stabilization money. I don't think neither free cash nor stabilization accounts should be used to fund the operating budget of the town. The loss of town of Templeton bond rating has had a major impact on the town's ability to move forward. In order for the town to move projects forward, its bond rating needs, missing a page here, needs to be restored. At the time of writing this candidate's letter, April 18th, the auditor's management letter has not yet been released. I do not expect good news from the auditor's letter. Much like 2009 DOR management review, the auditor's management letter can be used as a blueprint to correct the financial management issues that have plagued Templeton for a long time. Correcting the financial management issues in the town of Templeton will be my #1 priority if elected. Restoring Templeton's bond rating is included in that priority. I can be boring to get caught up in the numbers and the finances. There are a lot of details and administravia and rules and regulations, but without accurate numbers and finances, you can't provide needed services to townspeople. You need money to provide services. Looking at the budget and finances in detail can help provide better services. In closing, I apologize again for being unable to attend in person. If you have questions for me, please contact me at jfarrell59@gmail.com, or my cell is 978-340-2503. I'll have that for you if you want following the meeting. Thank you for your time. Please consider electing Julie Farrell, Selectman, on May 1st. P.S. The voting location has changed to the middle school gym. Sincerely, Julie Farrell. Any questions? Okay, moving on. Our candidate for re-election, Diane Haley Brooks.
Look at all you friendly faces. All right, so for those of you who may not know me, I grew up here. I moved away when I graduated. I came back. I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I'm a mother to 5. I have a new grandchild and one more on the way. I volunteer. I serve as your select board member. I'm a realtor. I work for a lawyer's office. How do you fit it all in? I don't. But I would like to thank, as everyone else does, the Royals for having this here, because it's a great night to be able to come together, ask questions, meet all of you, and let you know where things are at. So, and I also really appreciate hearing from the public. That's probably been the most rewarding part of the last 3 years. I volunteered a lot more than that. I get emails, texts, phone calls. Sometimes it can be really overwhelming, but it's really appreciated to know what you all need and want. So being on the board for the last 3 years has been extremely challenging, full of financial crisis, and in one way or another, not always just financial. We've not had, a long-term leader. We've gone through 2 town administrators, accountants, treasurers. There's been a lot of staff turnover. So just when you kind of feel like you're on maybe some solid ground, nope, you get sucker punched. So, and I'm sure we've said that a lot. So although the audit report isn't pretty, I'm actually happy that it's done and that we have a roadmap for the future. And that we can say, no different than Cam said, no different than Julie would say, no different than the advisory committee members would say, here's where we're at, these are our goals, and how are we going to get there? And some things we need to get there very quickly. It can't just be okay, let's talk about the priorities, we need to move. So I am kind of excited about that, as bad as that might sound. I had some personal goals when I ran last time. I wanted to create a Welcome to Templeton group. I wanted to make sure I had hours at town hall. Yeah, that didn't happen. It's too much. So hopefully this time around, I feel like I have a little more solid footing in fiscal policy, how the board works, and I hope that I can get more of that done. But definitely our priority is taking that management letter and those audits and making sure that those mistakes don't happen again. If you know me, you know how much I care about this community. I think that I've learned a lot in the last 3 years, but prior to that, if it wasn't for my father, I would not be standing up here today. So I would come, when I moved back to town, we would debate, and I'll be honest, I sat in the same spot at town meeting every single year with all our little buddies, and he would tell me how to vote. Until the year I decided that wasn't going to happen anymore. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. But I have solid footing from where I come from, and the parents who raised me, and the community who supports me, period, from the time I grew up to today. So I'm very grateful for that. I think that in the last year, I feel that we've made, and I've helped make, significant strides in communicating better with department heads, the advisory committee, really trying to bring all that together, because the constant push-pull, it doesn't work for you. So why do we keep doing it? If we can come together, and yeah, we might have a few differences, but we can't have, major differences here to major differences here, and then go to town meeting and go, oh, sorry, it's been a fiasco, has it not? Yes. So I hope that that doesn't happen again. I'm the peacemaker, I'm a problem solver, and I'm a doer. I like to dig in, I want to know what's going on, and I volunteer a lot at town hall. It's been better for me. I'm the question asker too. Anybody can attest to that? There doesn't not a meeting that goes by, it goes, what do you want, Diane? So, I don't always ask the question just for myself. I have to ask it for you. And that way I can think things out loud and process through them and then make an informed decision. talked about the audits. So for me to name a few very important items to continue the forward progress, we need a permanent town administrator. And with that, we should have long-term leadership, more so than we've had in the last few years. It's really difficult you have two different leadership styles, it's created a lot of chaos, but thankfully, we've gotten to the end. I actually, although it was, 285 pages? Okay, change is hard, but I really like the budget book. I think that having that permanent, maybe not full-time, town administrator, it's going to help us, and it's going to help the community to build trust and transparency, period, across the entire organization, not just with the board and with the TA. We need to ensure that the board is working to follow our own policy and procedures, and to include that includes our bylaws and reading and understanding what it is to be a selectman, how municipal finance works, tax recap, budgeting, creating workshops for those things. It's possible that we'll have a new selectman. And when I came on, there's no packet for me. There's no just, here, read all this stuff. There's no, I hope that we can provide something a little bit better if that happens, and make sure that, the appointment is set up and we meet with the town attorney and all of that. We are a team. There is no I in team. And we may not agree on all subjects, but for the betterment of our community, we have to work together. We need to be sure that we begin looking at the next fiscal year's budget in the fall, and to make sure that we have joint meetings with the advisory committee so that there are no surprises, and that we can reason things out together. We need to be sure that we, as a board, instill trust and integrity in our community, and not just with words, but with actions. I have, before you ask, and always will be, a supporter of building our elementary school. And now with the audits complete, and now once town meeting can be complete, I'm hoping that we can move forward with the borrowing and to get that project underway. It is no different than what Cam says. As a realtor, as a mom, we need that school to bring more business and more people here. I hope the last 3 years have proven that although, yes, I've made mistakes, that I am suited for this position and care enough to help make our community be the very best that it can be, and I hope to have your vote. Thank you. Did you have any questions? I'm sorry, did you have any questions? I'm sorry, Kate?
I know there are many, but what do you think is your finest achievement over the last 3 years?
Oh, boy. What is my, I don't know, I guess I don't look at it in terms of one thing. It's really, I would have to say if it's more recently, thank God that we met with the advisory committee and that we are try really hard to work together as a team, and that I really dug into the budget this year. And that was very enlightening for me, and I hope for you all as well. You're welcome. Yes?
I can honestly say that I appreciate, and I think most people here, whether they agree with everything you've done or not, that you've worked very hard to try to do it the right way. Whether they agree with the end product, it's up to them individually. The problem I have is not with you or any other member of the select board. The problem that I have with what we've gone through and what we've really been going through for a longer period of time than the audit reflects. We would not run the school system with just the school committee. We wouldn't run it without a school superintendent. The town needs a firm hand to be run by a trained town administrator that we're willing to pay. Because the problem with the select board is that every 3 years, somebody either decides not to run, the town elects the wrong person, the people on the board don't get along, there's too much, and they come ill-equipped. They're not trained to do it. There is no mandate when you decide to run, oh, you have to be educated in this, you have to know this, you have to know this. No, it's a popularity contest, and a multi-million-dollar corporation, which the town of Templeton is, can't be run by somebody who's liked but is incompetent at what they are trying to do. The learning curve is too great. What we need to do is, like I say, and town administrator and diminish the powers of the intact select board. That's what we need to do for the town to run properly. That's how you get a new school. That's how you get a new senior center. Because you have somebody who knows how to select grants, who can get us headed in the right direction financially, and is not at the whim of the townspeople in terms of being reelected or not. And we've got to pay for that. We're not gonna get somebody for 80 grand.
Agreed. I do agree with you for the most part, and I think that I said, we do need a permanent town administrator. I have different thoughts on whether that's full-time or part-time, but we need somebody who's qualified. And it's not about, I don't think, diminishing your board, because there are 5 members who come from all walks of life. And there's a reason for that. So Cam, if you don't mind, if I just use you for an example as a moment. Praise God, he comes from the younger generation. Yay, I'm so happy about that. I come from maybe over the hill. But I'm going to touch different people. But I agree, again, it's been, in my opinion, it's been chaos. But when you have a volunteer position, what qualifications would you be looking for? But I don't know any town that has a select board that has qualifications, I guess.
You don't, but that's exactly why you need it full-time.
Right, and currently, in case all of you were not aware of that, we've gone back out for the town administrator search, and currently today, the search committee is meeting. We have not had anyone to come forward that the board felt comfortable enough to present to the community, in my opinion. So it would be, I think that you use the terms rather than, we could elect the wrong person. Well, we as a board certainly don't want to hire somebody that we already know might not be a proper fit for Templeton. So I can totally appreciate what you're saying.
But again, I get back to the money.
Currently in the FY 18, thank you, I'm always a year ahead, I'm in 19 now, the salary was raised to 110. So 80, that's a far cry. But you know what? We can only, I think that Julie Farrell says it, can't spend more than you make. And we have to decide where our priorities are. And that's a priority. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah?
Cricket, Liz, I'll answer to all those. You mentioned that, we're lacking leadership, right, in town. And I actually see the select board as being the leadership. And then the town administrator is more about making sure that you stay within all policies and procedures and all that wonderful stuff, and staying within it. And so the question comes down to how do you, first of all, find the right person, because we haven't. And even when you do think you find the right person, it's either, they don't live in town, or they don't, it just comes down to, I think the select board is the leadership for the town. Because you do have different walks of life, you do have different backgrounds and experiences, and can instruct the town administrator on what you really want.
Okay, so I have a couple of different thoughts on that. What I mean by leadership is we're leaders, yes, but we represent you. We are your representatives. So to me, that's a different term. But the leadership I meant was within the organization, this person who runs the day-to-day operation, we expect to get information from. So that trickles down to us, period. I mean, you have a green board. I mean, and it's just a fact of life. 3 years. John's been 1 year. Julie is working on the 2 years. So it is a learning curve, and I think we do well. There are some bumps, but I'm looking for that leadership to help us lead you into the future. But I see us as representatives. So I want leadership within the organization. We can't be there for the day-to-day. We meet twice a month, workshops. I mean, we would have to meet every third day in order to get anything accomplished. And that's why select boards don't necessarily work as well. So that's really how I see that. I think that we need to cinch up some policies and procedures and definitely, but again, I'm not telling you anything that you don't know already. So, yes, John?
I just want to reinforce what this gentleman was saying over here. I think the biggest takeaway I had from the audit report the other night was the necessity for a full-time town administrator and a professional treasurer, and we need to do what it takes to make that happen. If it takes allocating money from someplace else, we have to do it. Otherwise, we're going to backslide.
Agreed. Mary?
You're also mentioning policies and procedures, and from what I understand, we don't have any.
Okay, so so that process has begun by a series of memorandums through Carter, but we do have policy and we do have procedure. And we have to follow Mass General Law, Secretary of State. So it's not that we don't have any. Yeah, are they down to the nitty-gritty? No. Do we have people who, I'm not a negative person, so I don't really like to speak that way, I'm sorry. We, like John said, we need to firm up a few things. But again, we are required, there's a Selectmen's Handbook, there's our own bylaws, there's board policy and procedure, there's Guide to Municipal Finance, there's, okay, that's all I can think of off the top of my head. But there's open meeting law, there are policies. I mean that we have Collins Institute coming to give us some better advice and solid ground for good financial and fiscal policy, yay. I'll give you Chapter 30B, that's been a pet peeve. Carter wants me to not talk about that, but it's an issue. And instead of, right now, it's been changed to $10,000, and you have to, do all the quotes and all that, and you write everything in a file, or $50,000, you have to go out for the bid process. I personally think $50,000 is too high for the town of Templeton to just have people saying, oh, well, at $49,900, we don't have to go out for bids. So I would like to lower that, but we can have our own policy. We can't say we want it to go to 60, but we can certainly say we want it to go to 40 or 30 or 25. So that's really what I meant by policies. So, but we definitely have to follow the law. Yes, John?
John hit it right on the head, and you kind of alluded to it in sort of all terms of pay scale for a full-time administrator. You mentioned, we raised it to $110,000. Frankly, that is not that much money for a job that has to be done over there. Okay, if you look around the size of this corporation and what heads of corporations, what it takes to hire somebody that's really competent and can get us out of this mess, you're not going to get anybody for $110,000, frankly. And I know that sounds like a lot of money to a lot of people. It's a lot of money to me too. But you also said that, well, you can't spend what you don't have. We need to find it. And we need to start operating 5 days a week over there too, do whatever it takes. Okay? And we just keep beating around the bush trying to find the cheapest guy on the block. It's not going to work. You have a good guy over there now. I know a lot of people disagree with Carter, but I've had some personal experience with him. He knows his stuff, and it's too bad he can't come on full time because he's a good guy. He knows his stuff. But if you can find somebody like that, a strong administrator, knows his stuff, and is capable of, excuse my language, kicking ass. Like this before. And I told Carter, excuse my language, if you're not pissing somebody off, you're not doing your job.
That is what they say. Thanks, Tom. Any other questions? Mike?
Thank you. Good evening. How can you personally work to build consensus in this community? I wrote the question down, but I'll add when it seems like it's so fractured.
I'm not always the optimist, but to build consensus, I guess, around, like, making sure that not everyone's going to agree. I guess, could you give me?
So an issue like Proposition 2.5 when you're trying to pay for a school, how do you build consensus and growth within a community if you have the traditional older constituents that do not wish their taxes to go younger constituency that has children that would love to see their kids in a brand-new school, no matter if it's a postage stamp size of land or not? How do you build consensus between those two?
I think that personally, there's a misconception here about old and young, and who, thank you, and who votes for the school and who doesn't, based on all the talking that I do and all the people that I've met. I said this when we were going for the override, when I said it at a meeting at the school. Stop, please, saying that it's the seniors who don't vote. That's not true. It's not true at all. And that's what makes things fractured, is by saying those things. It's my job, and I'll only speak for myself, it is my job to pay it forward like my parents and you did for me. How do we not do that? But I think if we would stop, I don't know. Again, I see it's very hard to get people to come to a meeting. You're parents, I'm a parent, we're busy, we have things to do. But we have to decide, do you want to do this or do you not? How can you not hear the cry of a senior who's on sorry, Dad, you're on a fixed income, right? Do I say, oh, I'm sorry, we have to raise your taxes $2.50 because we want a school? You have to have a lot of conversations about that. And I'm happy to say that, I'm pretty sure that Dad said yes. But in order to do that, why I see where the fracture comes from. We've had no audited financials, no bond rating, no transparency, no trust, could I have any more negative words? But I'm hoping that your audit is done and your management letter is complete, and we have work to do, but it's good work. So, I think that Cam's gone out, John's gone out. I don't know one member, Julie talks to people. I don't know one board member who's not truly involved with the constituents and within this community, volunteering, just various facets of your job. John works with veterans, but again, it really always makes me cringe when people say to me, oh, I just wish that the seniors would come out and vote and they wouldn't say no. You don't say no. We say no by not, parents say no by not being able to show up. You what?
I thought it was the exact opposite.
No, it's not. It's not. I appreciate the people who, again, how do you connect? We connect, right? We connect. That's probably the best part of this job. Ryan?
Diane, as you know, when that school was voted in, the first time they had to have a 2/3 vote,
Mm-hmm.
and we were over that. So
Yes.
it's bringing together, and it was mentioned earlier here, the community is right to bring together. What they need is what these gentlemen have been saying, is they need evidence, facts, they need to run smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
It is true. I'm on the school committee, but the school committee cannot run the school. If we did not have a superintendent,
Right.
we would not have a school system.
Yep.
So we do bring the community together when all of these wheels are rolling. They vote, and they vote
Yep.
for the town of Templeton to come together to get 3%. However, a full day town meeting is, it's going to be tricky on Saturday. So we're hoping that those segments make that.
So when it was voted at town meeting, a lot of parents and people with children, guardians, grandparents, they want to be more involved. And it's late at night. Who survived the 4 or 5 night meeting? Thank you. That was a lot, even for me. So parents, you have to put your kids to bed. You can't just stay up until 10 and 11 o'clock. I get that. So we did a bylaw change. I was part of that too, and said, let's move it to Saturdays, hoping that that would be better. But when you schedule, all the sporting events, and how can you come? Of course I'm going to choose what my child is doing over a town meeting. Please, no disrespect, but that's my child. I only get one, time to do that. So this time, I asked Dr. Cassavant if he could look into that and make sure that we have less going on that day. It's just one more way to get people. It's not even get people. I hope that you want to come and that you want to be a part of that, period.
I think we need to get those people there on Saturday again because.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Some of the good things that could happen for the
Yep.
community as all these other things are tied in, and I know you're instrumental in that.
I said, I'm not gonna not support the school, and I think that, you know, I believe it's Beverly Bartolomeo who says, you get the government where the people show up, and the people who come. So, I mean, I've tried to encourage, I hope that Cam, can encourage, elected or not elected. You know, I wish all of us luck, me, Julie, and Cam, and that the people, we care about being here, and we care about what your needs are. It's never going to be perfect, but we're definitely on the road to better. So thanks, Marianne. Anybody else? Thank you all for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Diane, and good luck. Are there any candidates who have not responded who would like to speak at this time? Seeing none, this concludes this evening's candidates' presentation. You're all invited for a light refreshments and an opportunity to talk to the candidates on an individual basis. Thank you again for your attendance this evening.